Looks like we're going to court. I have the receipts, Beau DeMayo decries. Marvel's criminal working conditions goes to court to overturn illegal Disney NDA. He's speaking to this website that's called Deadline. Let's never forget who Deadline is and who they do the work for. They're going to misrepresent him and treat him badly and talk about him negatively during this entire article. Here's Beau DeMayo's Twitter. It didn't matter that 45 minutes ago you posted this Deadline article. You're behind these guys in a way they're not behind you because they're going to throw some slight shots while we read this. Pay attention. Exclusive. These allegations of egregious misconduct are false, said Beau DeMayo. A dark cloud of gossip over his hidden pink slipping by Marvel and Disney. He didn't really say that. Flipping the script, the seasoned scribe called out Marvel, its alleged toxic environment, near criminal working conditions that turn individuals against one another, stokes paranoia to ensure compliance. That's believable that a company would do that. I just want to get to the meat and potatoes of this, and maybe that's why I'll have to read it out of order. Let's go down to the quotes. The first one is DeMayo saying it this morning on his Bonely fans. In the end, the offenses Marvel and others have leaked are designed to distract you from what really offended them. Someone like me dared to speak the truth to people like them. They wanted me to be the black stamp of approval on this project. I declined. Hey, that's believable. You may be different, you may not be convinced, but that's some stuff that I believe actually happened and how these corporations think. It's how racist YouTubers think. They get someone on their panel, you see he's with us, therefore we're not so bad. I'll get into that later on today when I talk about Star Wars Explained. Maybe I'll do that for members. They wanted to erase aspects of my personality that clashed or proved inconvenient with the misguided narratives they wanted to establish. I declined. I believe that. But this is the time, since we're talking, where you say what those instances were. And not just they wanted to erase aspects of my personality. What were they? And until you actually say what they were, you're going to be rightfully looked at with doubt. Now, I don't doubt you because I saw the way that Marvel reacted to how you started. They didn't even talk about the separations agreement. They're just all like, oh, look over there, why he was fired in the first place. Egregious findings. Yeah, that sounds bad. Hollywood Reporter, make sure that it also says that there was sexual misconduct in there, in your report, because not harassment, right? Not assault, but misconduct. People's imaginations will go wild. Dog, he had a relationship at work. People do that. Some people think that's too far. That's too egregious. Some people think that's nature. You're in a room with people. People are attracted to people. Things happen. So I've always been, oh, that's Marvel's response? Oh, they're totally in the wrong. But Beau, now's a great time for you to say what was the example where they're trying to make you do the black stamp of approval and you declined to do it. Speak. Not just speak. Get in details. Because it's going to court, baby. If let this be the last time I hear from you. If you're going to do the talking in the courtroom, then ease up on these statements. They tried to intimidate me with both explicit and implied threats. What were they? And I'm not saying that they don't exist. I do believe you when you say this, Beau DeMayo, but say what they were. I was not intimidated. Everything they have done since then has been designed not just to silence me and smear me. I believe that. Everything from Jeff Snyder's report, the wording of some of it, what happened, what was alleged to happen. Not he sent photos to everybody, but if you were a male and a young staffer, then you had those photos whether you wanted them or not, which implies that he sent them to you, but doesn't actually say he sent them to you. Yes, everything that was designed not just to silence you and smear you, yeah, but to crush me and to remind me to know my role. I believe this. Addressing the minutiae, what is that word? I'm reading out of order. Hold on, I'm reading out of order on purpose. So this is the piece of the separations agreement that is the problem. It says that specifically to ensure DeMayo would keep his bonus and writing credits, the provision DeMayo exits NDA states. And it's very legalese. I'm going to have difficulty with this. Lender, Marvel, and artist DeMayo, which is funny because they've done so many of these that they just got lender and artist, and then they fill in the rest, fill in the blanks. Hereby agree to seek the prior approval of Marvel on the substance of any press release, news story, announcement, publicity, or comments to the press relating to the change of relationship between the parties, in the connection with the separation settlement agreement, the DeMayo agreements. That's what they're called. I'm going to take a break even though it's a comma and not a period. This proves there was a separations settlement agreement. There were terms to how they were going to split apart, and that he was supposed to be approved by them for every single press release. Anything he said was there. It's all in the writing here. He agreed to this. The issue is this allowed to even be offered? Does this infringe on his California law rights? This settlement agreement, the DeMayo agreements, any of artists' services to Marvel, including artists working on relationships with anyone, artist knows to be a current or former employee or representative of Marvel or its affiliated companies. They're covering their bases. So any artist of services to Marvel, the series X-Men 97, or the early termination of the DeMayo agreements. Once the initial mutually approved press release is issued, which they did do, a mutually approved press release. Good to know that they agreed on how they were going to separate with each other. As soon as that happens, Marvel and Beau DeMayo can refer such requests to the initial press release without seeking approval. Further, and I don't know exactly what that means. Further, lender, artist, and Marvel hereby agree that the parties will mutually agree in advance on the date of issuance of any press release, news story announcement, or publicity relating to the change of the relationship between the parties. The change in the relationship meaning when he was gotten rid of because of the misconduct, the egregious findings, the investigation, what happened 2 weeks before the show came out, right before the red carpet. That's what they mean when they say the change of the relationship between parties in connection with the settlement agreement, the DeMayo agreements, or the early termination of the DeMayo agreements. It's almost like they knew they were going to early terminate. They're going to be like, hey, let's just shut him up while the show is out for 10 weeks. And then sometime in June, we'll find a reason to get rid of him, right? So there was an early termination of the DeMayo agreements, according to what Beau DeMayo was saying to start this and to make us know about everything. According to Beau DeMayo's letter that he got in June, citing he posted something on Instagram that was too much and it violated the separation settlement agreement. Here we go. Marvel and the artist Beau DeMayo shall make no disparaging or derogatory statements or remarks concerning the series or Marvel or its affiliated companies, anyone they know to be current or former employees or representatives of Marvel or its affiliated companies in a manner that could reasonably be expected to cause reputational injury to Marvel or its affiliated companies. Funny thing is, the reputation of Beau DeMayo has been attacked, but he already said that the separations agreement was broken. Also, funny thing, I think this language is okay to sign. Like, if I agree to these terms, I don't feel like my rights are being taken. But I don't know every law in California. I think if this is like the illegal, you can't shut an employee up, because they have rights. If this is it, it didn't seem that bad to me. I feel like, hello. But now this is the case that Brian Friedman, his attorney, is fighting. He knows the law. He read it through. He goes, we have a case here. I'll accept you as a client. This is it. The entire thing is the language inside here supposedly violates the law. And that's the journey that they're going to be on. That's the case. That's it. I hope for Beau DeMayo to be victorious. Friedman wants the court to strip the non-disparagement provision from Beau DeMayo's NDA ASAP, the non-disclosure agreement, as soon as possible. There are only two possible explanations for why Marvel and Disney had Beau sign an NDA that so obviously violated basic California law. The heavyweight attorney told Deadline. You see that there? That's the case. This is too much. I read it and I was like, I can see what's going on here. I'm not a lawyer though. This shouldn't exist according to California law. According to Brian Friedman's interpretation of California law, which is why Brian Friedman took this case. But that's it right there. Now I'm going to read some of the bias. So I'm going to read out of order, everyone. Let's go all the way back to the top. And let's get some of the thoughts of the writer of this article, Dominic Patton, his name is. Months after DeMayo's exit, Marvel exclaimed in August that he was fired because of the egregious nature of the findings in a misconduct probe. Last month, DeMayo said that he was let go because of some LGBTQENT. Do you know what that means? Fan art. Rumors at Disney have swirled around photos supposedly sent to the X-Men 97 colleagues and accusations of getting too touchy with people on X-Men 97. That is the third paragraph of this. They are not your friend, Beau DeMayo. Deadline is in bed with these studios. They're not going to. They weren't gonna go 3 paragraphs without that stuff. I had to dig all the way down. The way I began this, I had to dig all the way down there. That's when people get bored, and when people already made up their mind about you is when they start reading all that stuff that I just read. They're not your friend, Beau. I'm your friend. Months after DeMayo's exit in March, I just read that. And then it goes, today as attorney Brian Friedman filed an expedited jury trial seeking complaint in LA Superior Court to have an allegedly illegal non-disparagement provision removed from the writer's exit package documents. They're calling it an exit packagement, a settlement agreement, separations agreement. I've heard so many words to explain this. But remember, that is the thing. That's the problem. Beau never complained, they shouldn't have fired me. I didn't deserve to be fired. But that's never been Beau's issues at all. The issues was, we signed something in March. Okay? That is my problem. You guys sent me a letter in June. That is my problem. You're trying to discredit me. That is my problem. Never, I shouldn't have ever been fired, right? He's never said that or cried that. But retroact, like Marvel's going back in time through their sources to remind everyone that he was fired. And this is why he was fired, but not exactly why. We're just going to give you loose details on why, and you can fill in the blank with the worst possible scenario of why. The removal of the writer's exit package documents. Beau DeMayo took to OnlyFans to call BS on the Kevin Feige ran Marvel. This is him on OnlyFans earlier today, where you can pay $10 to listen to him live stream and chit chat and get some news. I'm not doing that. That's another thing that people are going to look at you funny for, Beau DeMayo. So this is a screenshot from your OnlyFans. People are going to look at you funny and say, look, you're just trying to milk it and make money. I know you've been blackballed from Hollywood. I know it's hard for you to make money right now. This isn't the only way. Do what my boy from Cosby Show, who played Alvin, he had to go get a job where he was bagging groceries. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I know it's easy to just sit down and talk for a living and make a little bit of money. Clearly, it's what I do too. But if you're trying to win a court of public opinion and they've been smearing you, and then you're also now going, hey, for a little bit of money, you get to hear me from the horse's mouth, it's just not a good look. Especially knowing that some of the quotes from what you said in that 30 minutes are going to be here on Deadline. You're not helping yourself at all. It doesn't make you wrong, because I understand the situation you're in. No one's hiring you. I get it. For now, at least. It looks like you've been blackballed. Okay. He says, the rumors being spread around me online are lies. They are offensive. But more concerning is that they're a smear campaign designed to discredit my credibility in order to cover up the egregious prejudicial misconduct. You get it? Because the words are being used now in his favor against them. Stretching from a select crew members on X-Men 97 all the way to the top at Marvel Studios. We know who that is. We know who he means by that. And I don't defend that man. After what happened with the Blade show, they did not recast T'Challa. They recast William Hurt died of cancer. Harrison Ford, right in there. Okay? Oh, Chadwick, he was too iconic. And, that's when guys are too iconic with the role, you just don't recast. By the way, Robert Downey, who was certainly iconic for Tony Stark, he's coming back also. And Chris Evans is iconic for Captain America. He's going to play the Human Torch again. This man. So Beau DeMayo declared in his nearly 30-minute remarks to the camera on the often explicit subscription social platform. Bro, they're not your friend, Beau DeMayo. You didn't need to say that. The often explicit subscription social platform. In the middle of you trying to say there's a smear campaign, the people writing this article about you, which you linked, you said enough. And, an hour ago you posted this. Here's what I had to say. That was you. That was you. And they speak on you that way. Admitting that, first of all, the way that they begin the sentence, admitting that makes it feel like you've done wrongdoing. Personality conflicts happen. That's not the way I thought the next words was go. After reading admitting that, I was expecting some sort of like criminal wrongdoing or admitting that you did something physical with people, but here it is. Admitting that personality conflicts happen, especially in creative environments like Hollywood, DeMayo also acknowledged that he has long known he is not everyone's cup of tea, which is fill in the blanks. What does that mean? Does that mean he's a really physical guy? Andrew Cuomo, hey, I'm Italian, I touch people. He's not everyone's cup of tea. What did Beau actually mean by that? His type A personality, short fuse? Did he mean the way he dresses? There's so many ways we could have done that. But the goal of this Deadline article is to besmirch you. Shout out William Regal. Yet, in a nutshell, DeMayo asserted today that him being gay, black, and open about it at Marvel Studios, trust me, they don't care about the gay part. They don't care about the open part. But it's all that skin. Was the real issue the company had with him, and why he was tossed out and later saw his credits for the upcoming second season of the Mutant Saga removed. In fact, spotlighting the timeline of his departure, DeMayo says that it was only after his initial conversation with the company Human Resources that he no longer felt safe at the studio as a gay black man. Again, you got to provide reasons for why you were discriminated against for being a person who preference of friction was with the males. And then they discriminated you against your skin tone. That's why you were shown the door. You got to prove that. It is hard to prove that. I've experienced in my life, I've experienced discrimination, and I know it was because of my physical appearance. Proving that is an impossible task. No, it's not really impossible. You'll have to find a way that you were treated, but maybe someone else wasn't treated the same way, and then you get to go see why was this done but wasn't done for me, or why was it done for me and it wasn't done for him or her. There's ways to do it. It's just difficult to do it. It's not like they can go, when I was a showrunner, I did this, but the other showrunner did that. Beau, there is no other showrunner, right? There's going to be a hard way to prove even though I do believe, of course, you're going to be getting negativity. You're going to get negativity based off of your physical identity and the gay identity as well. You can get discriminated against based on that as well. Addressing the immunity of his dismissal from Marvel and the weeks of fallout, DeMayo laid down a pretty stringent marker for the Mouse House. I have the receipts and the eyewitnesses, so long as you stop coercing them to lie. You can keep attacking me with lies and misinformation, but we can become the ugliest, most annoying version of that. Or you can start acting like a studio that is worthy of a show like X-Men 97. I believe him when he says he has receipts. I just think it's for the benefit of everyone else who's doubting you right now to provide the receipts during this rollout period. Or zip it until it's time to win in court. Because it doesn't help. It doesn't help convince the people who are not convinced. But if you got receipts, great. You got eyewitnesses, cool. They're being coerced to keep their mouths shut. I believe that. Who wants to lose their job and their employment, their way of making money and the way of paying really expensive rent in California? Who wants to risk that to stand up for Beau DeMayo? Of course they're being coerced, or they don't even need to be coerced. Nothing even needs to be said. Don't speak in favor of Beau DeMayo. Hey, I was there. All those Jeff Snyder reports, that's not true. What really happened was there was actually a guy who was working with us, and he's the one who leaked it to all the other young men. So, no, it's not like Beau sent those to everybody. It was the other guy. Now, you say that and see if you'll make it to season 2. Or if when your contract expires, they just won't renew it. You know, they don't have to necessarily fire you. They'll just wait it out. People are being coerced. I believe him. It's being suggested for them to shut up. To the end, the filing today from Friedman, there is a filing. It's official. We're going to court. Makes some pretty harsh claims against defendant Marvel Animation Studios for trying to shove DeMayo out and shut him up. Now let's read the 6-page filing. DeMayo, who intends to detail his prior employment with Marvel via OnlyFans, bore witness to and endured rampant discriminatory and harassing conduct during his year-long tenure with the company. Well aware that DeMayo possessed copious knowledge regarding Marvel's illicit and unsafe employment practices, let's see what that is, the company sought to silence DeMayo as part of his forced ouster. Backed by an army of well-versed employment attorneys, Marvel knowingly incorporated an illegal non-disparagement provision designed to muzzle an openly gay black man. See, that's the thing right there. You didn't need to include that. White people don't know how to do racism. I'm assuming this Brian Friedman guy is a white guy. You guys don't know. That wasn't the time to mention that they tried to muzzle a gay black man, open gay black man. Not the time for that. Non-disparagement provision designed to muzzle and restrict his statutory rights, the complaint adds. And in fact, Marvel invoked this unenforceable provision to justify its nefarious removal of DeMayo's credits on the acclaimed series X-Men 97. Yeah, it reminds me of what happened earlier today with Star Wars Explained, when her name is Molly, used race, used in a way that I wouldn't have used. I'll do a video on it one day talking about that, probably later tonight, probably live stream about that later tonight. But it's just a misunderstanding of how to utilize race. It's very, like, that's a marginalized group, you know. You know you're not supposed to. And I don't think it's the opposite of empowering. It's like you're kicking down on this openly gay black man. Why? That means that he's a lower status, doesn't it? While speaking, you're negatively representing this identity, both gay and black, having melanin in your skin. I don't like that. All right, and then I read this part already, and I think we're done. There's only two possible explanations for why Marvel and Disney have Beau sign an NDA that so obviously violated his California law. That's it, bro. That's it. Either incredulously, Marvel and Disney's hundreds of lawyers who advise over 200K employees all just happened to make a mistake, or Marvel knowingly and intentionally attempted to silence Beau so they could have a total control as to why he was no longer at Marvel, why he had his credits removed on season 2, and why he was uninvited to attend the very award show that not uninvited, invited then taken away. The Emmys uninvited him to attend the very award show that nominated his hard work for an Emmy, Friedman went on to say. Violating Beau's statutory California rights will cost Marvel this case, but more importantly, Marvel can no longer stop the truth from coming out. You better not settle then. You better not settle. So he's taking this to court. Judge will look it through and say, yep, there's something here. Let's file. Let's go on with it. Let's use taxpayer resources, which isn't very nice, but well, we know what the government does with our tax money. Let's not even pretend. The government does to our, I'm not in California, but our tax dollars. On the matter of the truth, neither DeMayo or Friedman have named names as of yet. Yet being the operative word here. Disney did not respond to request from Deadline for comment on DeMayo's claims. But did they respond to say, hey, make sure you make him look bad and change a couple of the words here? Did they do that? You didn't say they didn't do that. You could just say Disney did not respond. But they didn't respond to your request to comment. They probably responded to say, make sure you look bad. Because that's me. That's the way I read these things. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very skeptical of everything. If and when they do, either directly or in court, this post will be updated. Okay, good to know, Deadline. Good to know. Thank you for that work. So I was talking to Blue's house. I was talking to Sean, the Comics Pals, and we brought up about the Emmys, how the invitations work out. It feels, he says, that he was uninvited. What we learned, because Blue looked it up, was that the Emmys, they announce who gets nominated, they send invitations. The first name on that nomination for the episode, Remember It, episode 5, the first name was Beau DeMayo on that. So he should have been invited by the Emmys. He wasn't, or maybe they were told to go through Marvel, or however it worked, he wasn't invited. He vocalized it on Twitter. A couple days later, hey, by the way, this is my problem with Marvel. And everything became a public mudslinging contest. It was like 3 Thursdays ago. The Emmys uninvited him, according to this. Marvel had something to do with it. Like, oh, you guys can't invite him. And the Emmys were like, oh, yeah, okay, fine, we'll uninvite him. Or go through Marvel, figure it out through them, Beau. And leave us out of this. Something shady happened there to where his nomination was pulled, where he won't get the adulation for, even just to show up on the split screen where all the nominees are sitting down. And then maybe somebody else wins, and then you get to smile and you get to go like that. But at least you were there. You look like you were an Emmy-nominated person. You can screenshot it. You can make it look like you're of status. It's supposed to help your career. Who do you want, an Emmy-nominated writer? A guy who can really bring a kick-ass episode? That'll make you look good. Like the way to the envision the the soon-to-be studio who's going to hire you, that executive can envision you as worthwhile because they've seen you on the Emmys, even if you were nominated, let alone if you win it. I'm just talking about nomination. If you win it, can you imagine what that does for your career? And they're taking that from him. That feels like wrongdoing. He was uninvited. That's big news to me because I was talking about this for hours with Blue and with Sean. That's the story. I will now hit end. I will now edit this up. Thank you for coming. Don't give me the pinky finger. Give me the opposite of the pinky finger. And I feel like I'm going to be getting legal again with the Star Wars Explained stuff. Later tonight, I'll be on the Chainsaw Reacts. I'll provide a link to it right over here. Thanks all for watching me and listening to this Beau DeMayo update. He's got a OnlyFans. He's talking on his OnlyFans. And then you can pay for it. And what's the spin out going to come from this? I expect a response. No, Marvel's not going to respond. They were part of this Deadline article with Dominic. The news is out the way that they want it to be out.